I just had the craziest game of Polytopia that I've ever played. Let me go ahead and walk you through it. I am Barter here, and this was just a fun little challenge I gave to myself. I'm gonna skip the first 5 turns of the game, which means if you count turn 0, we start playing on turn 5. Here's what happened. Let's go ahead and walk through it. So we play a little unconventionally because obviously we have all these stars built up. We upgrade our capital, get a workshop, and then we go ahead and grab a rider just because I think rapid expansion is going to be the key to even having a chance here. Because if our opponent basically gets all the villages before we do, we're just destined to lose. And we meet our opponent on turn 8 by sliding onto our first village. And guess what? Oh, they have the units to knock us off. That's really bad. I'm just going to give you guys a sneak peek of what we're going up against here. First of all, their score is 3,200. Let me disable the fog for a second. So yeah, they have 5 cities. They're going to kick me off this one, so that'll be 6. They have this one up here, which will be 7. They're going to get that village too. And we have 1. I guess 2 if you count that one. And if you've been watching my channel for long enough now, or at least playing Polytopia for more than 2 days, you would know that that's not a good thing. Alright, let's keep watching here. I pick up organization and roads prior to capturing that city, and we're just going to eco a little bit here. I'm going to take an explorer in my second city. That'll hopefully allow us to expand to the northeast corner of the map a little bit quicker. But unfortunately, the explorer goes straight north, so like we don't really gain much movement off of that. The idea is the explorer goes this way, and then we can just go ahead and road our rider wherever we need to, and slide onto villages really fast. But, you know, you gotta work with what you get. They're playing decently well. They got the riders, so I mean, they're expanding pretty quickly as well. We kick them off that village, and we're just gonna keep trying to expand here. Now, of course, my opponent doesn't play perfectly. No one does. They put their units in such a way that I'm able to lock down this city, and unless they get roads, they can not kick me off. But they do, in fact, get roads on their turn. It's just they decide to put 3 roads here. I'm not really sure what those are doing, but there they are. I think what a lot of new players don't realize is that roads are really expensive. 2 stars for each road. There's 6 stars sitting there. That's 2 riders, that's 3 warriors, that's a couple upgrades maybe. They ain't cheap, so you really got to make sure you are using them efficiently. And I think this entire game here, on my side at least, is a lesson in how to use your stars efficiently. Basically, in order to win this game, we have to squeeze our stars like a tube of toothpaste and get all the value we can out of them. And I'll be talking about that a little bit more later in the video. Let's keep going here. So, I mean, at this point, it's not quite dead lost, but it's pretty close. I mean, they're getting this village right next to our capital. They got all these units here. They can just throw them at us, start killing our riders. They land this siege on us here, but we can lift it. And we managed to bounce into one of their cities too, so I mean, that's cool. Name of the game here is unit spam. If we do not have units, we will just die, which is making it really difficult to build my economy up. There are a bunch of upgrades I'd like to take, but I can't really do it because, well, if I take them, I'll die. Something else I want to point out, opponent gets a fat veteran swordsman right next to our capital. Remember, this is might, so in order to win the game, all I have to do is take our capital. None of these other cities matter. I mean, they matter, but you know what I mean. They get a nice border growth city right here. I love the choice of taking border growth over population growth here. There's so many surrounding resources. It's cutting off my ability to maybe take border growth in the future. It's messing up roads. It is a huge inconvenience for me. Border growth does a lot more than just getting surrounding resources in your empire. I should mention, I don't play this game perfectly by any means. 1, this is a live game. 2, I was watching a Doug stream while playing this, so like, I was only half paying attention to what was happening on the screen. I still think I played pretty well though. But they have all these units right outside our capital's doorstep here. We managed to get our first giant up this turn on turn 14. Here I make a misplay. I upgrade this city, which I think is fine. I definitely should have done it using this forest right here instead of this fruit in the corner. Main reason for that is, of course, if he takes his rider and just slides it on this forest, I'm forced to kill his rider if I want to put a lumber hut there. So it's better to just put my lumber hut there this turn whenever that's not a problem. By harvesting this fruit, I mean, it accomplishes the same goal but in a much less efficient manner. Because obviously he doesn't really have any units here that's a threat to stepping on this fruit here. But yeah, fixing small stuff like that will help optimize your play and streamline your game. I did get a veteran swordsman from my ruin up here. It's a little far away to be helpful for the current threat, which is all these giants at our doorstep. But I go ahead and get a giant up. He put his giant on the forest I was talking about, but luckily we had some resources sitting back here that we could use. Managed to eco a little bit this turn. We get a bit of a breather. We still have a huge problem though, which is this giant right next to our giant. It hit our giant first, which means our giant is going to die to it, because giants have 5 attack and 4 defense. They don't like being hit by other giants. But I mean, we're managing to hold on by a thread right now. So our opponent gets strategy, which is a bit of a weird decision considering they are on the offensive right now, but whatever. Turns out we have a village over here, so that's cool. We land a nice siege on them too. Of course it doesn't hold, but we cut their income a little bit with a warrior that was basically already dead, so may as well, right? We managed to land a siege up on the north here too, so we do capture that village. We still have a big problem though, which is this giant right outside of our capital. What are we gonna do about that? Well, another giant. Now, interesting thing here. Our opponent has diplomacy. What's that mean for us? It means we're pretty much dead. You know, cloaks are quite the menace when they're not being controlled by Polytopia AI and an actual human. Now, our opponent sieges our city here. You may be asking me, GullYY, what's your plan to unsiege that? My response is, what plan? We're not going to unsiege it. He's going to take that city. I don't know if I could have prevented that somehow. Maybe like a bit of better giant micro, I don't know. Pretty cool play here, I want to point out. Our opponent moved a cloak right next to our capital. They didn't hit though, I'm not sure why. But it means we can do something about it. We'll do a little bit of Minesweeper here. Based on this giant having the little icon and then this giant not having it, we can determine that the cloak is not on this tile. And you see our warrior down here does not have the cloak icon either. So that means that the cloak cannot be on this tile either. First I move the warrior north. And you see after putting the warrior on this tile, we do have the icon indicating there is a nearby invisible cloak. Which means it's probably not on this tile, because that would mean they would have 2 cloaks, one here and one here. But we only saw them train 1 cloak, so that can't be the case. That means we know it's on this tile. So before hitting the barter giant, like I want to with my giant, I go ahead and I first attempt to move our giant onto this tile. What's the point of that move? Well, it's going to reveal the cloak. And then of course, after revealing the cloak, our warrior has the ability to attack it, even though it's not really showing in the replay for some reason. But you'll see it. There we go. So we're able to kill it. So with a little bit of planning, we optimized our turn and got 8 stars of value from it. And a veteran warrior. Look at that. Still a big issue though, this siege. What do we do about that? Nothing. It's gonna happen. I mean, we siege his city again. We are laying siege on this city so much. He keeps training squishy units there and stuff. Archery here. I get archery. And train 3 archers. That is going to end up being our saving grace. 1, we get the defense bonus on 4s. It means that whenever our opponent smacks us with riders and stuff against our warriors, it's not a very good trade for them. 2, archers are POG units. They can hit stuff without taking retaliation damage. They are so good for getting value, especially against slow-moving units like giants. They're also extremely versatile. Now, of course, what you gotta watch out for is the Night Chains, but our opponent hasn't gone Chivalry yet, so we can abuse them a little bit. Now, one really bad thing I want to point out here, since our opponent took this city, it cuts all of our road connections, which means all of our cities get 1 less population, and our capital gets 5 less population because we had 5 cities linked to it. And each one of those red bars decreases our stars per turn by 1 star. So you go back a little bit here, you'll see that prior to capturing that city, our stars per turn is at 25. After they take it and all the road connections update, our stars per turn plummet down to 18. And for context, our opponent is at 43 stars per turn. Why don't we take a little look at our opponent? Why not? Here's what they're working with. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cities. Did I count that right? Yes, 10 cities. I currently have 6. And our capital is completely isolated from any of them. So yeah, that's a big problem, if you couldn't have guessed. Our opponent gets mathematics, they start training catapults, it looks like the walls are closing in. They have so many riders outside of our capital. And what I'm trying to say is, we are so close to imminently losing any misplay here, and we are complete toast. Our opponent keeps moving these cloaks next to our city. Okay, they finally hit with one. They were so reluctant to use their cloaks. It was really confusing. So you see here, they have this huge army of riders they are just throwing at us. They kill our giant. It's just not good. At this point, I was ready to just call it, throw in the towel, say, okay, maybe I shouldn't have skipped 5 turns. But I decided to keep on playing. In fact, I land a nice little siege on this city with a veteran swordsman. Now, a fun thing about this siege is that it holds. And you might be wondering why it held. The simple solution is that our opponent just kind of ignored it. I think they landed this siege on us with this dagger over here. and just assume that they had completely won the game. Look, you'll see, they're moving in these riders next to our capital. They don't care that I'm sieging. They think they've won, but they haven't won. So all of our cities are linked back up because we got that city and our road connections are back. We have 2 archers that are ready to smack this dagger. So we unsiege our capital. Now, there is still a huge problem in this position. I'll go ahead and show you. You see this 24 HP giant? If they siege our city with that and then just block off all the other tiles so that my archers can't really reach, we lose the game, plain and simple. Our opponent decides that, you know what, that's not the play, and sieges with a 2 health giant. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of an issue here for them. We can unsiege. And we're back in it. Another thing here, our opponent gets mindbenders. I'm not sure why. Maybe they wanted to move one next to our capital or something and just hit whatever unit we train with it. Mindbenders are incredibly weak units, but when they're used in the right way, they can be very strong. We get a giant in the city they took from us. Our archers are just getting so much value. Now, we have another issue. Look at this silly guy. We got a little knight here, so I gotta make sure not to chain my units. Oh wait, they're in a chain. We gotta do something about that, or else all our archers will die and we will not be in a great spot. I go ahead and pick up mining prior to taking our city back, working towards smithery. So we leave our opponent with like a 3 archer chain here, which, I mean, could I have done that better? I don't know. But it's better than our entire army. But guess what? They didn't even go for the chain. They went for our warriors down here. Unfortunately, he could not kill our veteran warrior, so the chain ends there for him. We got a wall in the city up here. It's putting in work. I pick up smithery. Such a slept-on tech. It's so good for just pumping out swordsmen, throwing them at your opponent, not really thinking too much about it. Obviously, you should think about what you're doing. And at this point, our opponent actually resigns. Let's go ahead and turn off the fog for a second. We see that our opponent is at 8 cities, and I am at 8 as well. What's their income at this point, actually? Their income is at 28 stars per turn, whereas ours is at 38. So yeah, the absolute craziest game of my life. Managed to win it while skipping 5 turns in the very beginning. I want to go back a few turns, just because I really want to show off just how insane this is. So like here, I'm at 18 stars per turn. Opponent is at 43. I don't think you have to be a mathematician to realize how bad that is. But thanks to capitalizing on our opponent's mistakes and squeezing the value out of all of our stars and a little bit of good micro, we were able to come back and win this. I was on my Steam account for this game, if you're wondering why my elo is so low. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all did enjoy. I hope you learned something. It's always a blast making these replay breakdowns for you. I like imparting my knowledge on you guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to hit the like button down below. And if you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to subscribe. And if you'd like to support me and the channel directly, you can become a channel member by hitting the join button down below. And I'll see you all in the next video. Have a spectacular day.